much. All
Yeah.
right. Well, guys, we are the Blockheads. My name's Trevor,
I'm Travis.
I'm Go.
and this is Co. Super excited
Hello,
to
hello.
have him on, the third Blockhead.
Absolutely.
Um,
Thank you
Co,
for
give us, oh, bro, of course, give us a little bit of background on your experience in the crypto space, blockchain as a whole.
And move over to your left like just a smidge if you can.
a little bit. Yeah. So I
Perfect.
first got into crypto. I think it was at the beginning of 2020, and I first started dabbling with like Litecoin and Dogecoin and whatnot, but I didn't like really know too much of like what I was doing. So it took me a while for me to kind of get comfortable with like investing and whatnot. But I would say I'm not really advanced into crypto trading, but I'm very passionate and whatnot. But I definitely believe there's a lot more potential in that form of finance, and I think there's a lot more room for growth. And every day, I'm just very interested in investing in different projects and whatnot.
Cool.
There's just a lot of things that are out there, so I'm just very passionate about it.
Sweet man. Are you on the Wi-Fi by any chance? We're having a little problem with you breaking up. Are you seeing that, Trevor?
I'm saying it.
Okay. Just yeah. Um, but yeah, man. I mean,
Is that
nobody.
better?
Oh,
Yeah, that's great, man. That's great. Um, nobody's really there's very few people in this world who I would call advanced crypto users at this point in time. So
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
welcome to the pile, man.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well, I think one of the most important things about this space, and like you were just saying, in terms of no one's an expert in this, there's always something new to learn. Like the big thing that
Yeah.
came across my sites lately. And I guess I'd heard of the ordinals, but I didn't really understand what they were. I knew that they were inscriptions on the Bitcoin network, but BRC20 is their official token title. So let's
Let's
get into
let's
that.
call it what it is. This is like Bitcoin NFTs, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because that needed to happen. I
You
mean,
know, sketchy is how to be connecting your wallet and offering those kind of authorizations to your Bitcoin balance. But I mean, hey, go ahead,
I don't want to
try it
say
out.
I don't want to say sacrilege, but heresy definitely fits the bill. Um, I mean, do we really need? I mean, look, man, Trevor's very has a lot of knowledge about what I've been through in the NFT world um, that I can't necessarily talk about. But it wasn't a good experience for me. Um, Not just me personally, but a lot of people
Hmm.
in the ecosystem. Um, and my opinion on NFTs is that there's a lot of potential there, but there's more potential for scammers and people who really just want to take advantage. And I
Hmm.
think that's most of what's going on in the space right now. Um, I mean, just to jump into the elephant in the room, um, I'm one of those people that thinks that Bitcoin doesn't need NFTs. Bitcoin doesn't need what I would consider layer two functionality. You know what I mean? I mean,
Mhm.
I don't think we need to have NFTs on Bitcoin. I think layer twos do just fine for that. And even, you know what I mean? It adds for a lot more adaptability when it comes to NFTs. And I think that's important when you have NFTs, actual NFTs that provide utility and things like that. Um, so yeah, I'm not happy at the way that this whole Bitcoin development progression is going. Uh, when it comes to, I mean, what I want out of Bitcoin is just an immutable store of wealth on the ledger. A transparent ledger that's immutable and functions as what it essentially was meant to be. You know, and like I said, I think layer twos provide all the benefits that people seem to want, and some people think they need out of the layer one Bitcoin um, chain. But that's my opinion. I feel like we did, a lot when this news came out a while ago. We were seeing some dips and stuff. And I think that a lot of that is probably has to do with a lot of people kind of questioning the direction that development's going for Bitcoin. And that kind of, I mean, my next thing would be to say, how much development do we really need on Bitcoin anymore? I
Right.
mean, really, we just need maintenance. You know,
Yeah.
Well,
you,
I think the world's agreed it's not meant to be used as regular tender. It's more of a store of wealth along the lines of gold.
right,
Um, I don't see the need for the BRC standard. I don't see the need for anything to be built on top of Bitcoin necessarily any further. Like you're saying, maintain the network. But
yeah,
at the end of the day, just because you and I may find something worthless doesn't mean there's not a market out there for it and money to be
definitely
made.
not, definitely not. we both
And
know that
me,
very well. Yeah,
I talked mad shit on NFTs for years, as you know, and just now it's finally like, okay, if it has utility, it's not just an art piece anymore. It's not
right.
some, hey, you know what? It has the speculative value. It's like, no, it fucking does something for
Yeah.
you in the real world.
And full
I made the
disclosure, I
video.
own I own plenty of NFTs, so
I
it's
know, right?
some real good ones
So
too.
I made the reveal video for the bears that I got from
Yeah, I
Blockstar.
saw that. Yeah,
But the new, oh, thank you. Yeah, that was fun. And one of them gives you 5 minutes head start on whitelisting for any project that launches on the platform. The other one gets you, I want to say, 25% off
yeah,
exchange fees on their hybrid exchange, which they're in beta right now. I'm one of their testers, found a few bugs here and there, but it's progressing quickly. Very excited for it because as soon as the exchange goes live, so does their blockchain.
yeah.
So I know I've convinced Co to join Blockstar, and he's racking up points, so he'd be able to convert him over
Oh
to
yeah.
the Blockstar token, or I guess Blockstar chain. I don't know what they're going to call it. I'm very
Yeah.
fascinated to
It
see
goes
what it's
by.
going to be.
Yep.
But
I'm a big fan of Blockstar. One of the reasons is because they are kind of a whole giant ecosystem in and of themselves. And I think
mhm,
that the way they are doing NFTs, judging by your video, is that I think even even the just the regular NFTs that you were going over seem like they have actual utility when in
yeah,
relation to the greater ecosystem, right? I
right.
didn't really see at least any of the ones you went over. I didn't see anything that I wouldn't be happy to end up, rolling out and minting. Um,
I mean, yeah,
yeah,
it is that loot box style. I think the next reveal is on the 20th. I could be wrong. It might be this month, it might be next month. I don't quite remember. But the big thing that I wanted to tie it into is, do you remember, aside, do you remember that project? Wait, fuck, do you remember the project Poseidon from back in the day?
I do. Yeah,
Okay. So, I've talked to you about Poseidon as well.
Yeah.
They're currently on the Ethereum chain. They had pulled all their liquidity, and they're like, okay, hey, we're working with the Cardano Foundation. We're looking to relaunch. It'll be sometime in the next 6 months. So it's either going to be late 2023 or far more likely early 2024. And I mean, I can understand them wanting to wait for, the next bull market to truly kick off before they attempt to relaunch. I don't fault them for that.
yeah,
You have a lot of pissed off people, but there's just a major shakeup with them. So I'm part of their seed investing group, and I kind of saw some conversation going back and forth in one of the telegrams, and I'm like, okay, cool. Haven't really kept up with you, but it's good to know that some people are talking about something. And I saw this article talking about how Cardano is rolling out a workshop thing that they're going to be doing for different projects around the world, highlighting a few projects that they're now working with. And I'm like, okay, Poseidon has touted this partnership with the Cardano Foundation for quite some time. They've been talking about their smart score technology, which, for those of you who are not aware, it is the equivalent of a credit score for crypto. So based off your investment style, that gives you a score. You can't use a brand new wallet, you're not going to have a score. So it's like, okay, Are you buying into like a pre-sale and then immediately dumping? Are you holding on to a project for 5 years? Are you swing trading? What are you doing? That's going to affect your overall investor score. So they have a patent on it. It's legit. I'm surprised they were able to secure the patent, but they did it. So, anyways, I hopped into the group. I'm like, hey, what's up with the Cardano workshop thing? Are you guys part of that? Like, that'd be really cool.
Yeah.
And dude, they they had a major division. So they have three founders, Andy, Hushnu, and Jack. Andy got booted from the company. And so it's just like, I'm on great terms with Andy. We used to have phone calls every week. I was lucky enough to come across him during my time at the previous company that Travis and I had worked at. But I remember coming across him as a regular investor when I was on vacation up in Big Bear. Their their press release was like June 2021. And I'm like, oh, wow, they're talking. They weren't saying ZPK proofs at the time, but they were talking about this anonymity being brought back into the crypto space where I don't have to shell out all my information. I don't have to KYC with every single thing I want to transact with or whatever, wallets, the apps. It was cool. So I'm like, okay, I want to get in on that. And luckily I was able to get with them. But I was like, okay, well, what's going on? And I can't go into some details. I know there's litigation being thrown around, everything like this. And I will say, as upset as Andy is, he wasn't saying, oh, they don't have this prepared, they don't have that prepared. No, they have everything prepared. They have venture capitalists secured, they have the partnerships necessary locked in. Their biggest thing, or I guess Andy's biggest thing is like, wow, I'm getting booted right as it's about to pop off. And do I know the deeper scenario as to why that happened? No, I don't know. I don't know the finer details. I have seen the patent though. It's there. It exists. It's 80 pages. Again, you can find a patent. Anyone can find a patent in patent court. But the concept behind it is anyone who wants to try and do what they're doing, you got to pay outside it. So it's like, okay,
right.
That's money right there. And so let's get away from the inner turmoil going on, but let's talk about the greater scope of the project. And it's one of the things that you have these people who were seed investors to be able to get in. There were two different NFTs they were giving out. So if you were putting in $100, you were getting a silver meta NFT. And if you put in $500, you were going to get a golden meta NFT. So I have two of these things. And utility was never truly given to them. And people have been, bemoaning like, oh, you screwed us over, blah, 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 blah. And everyone just started finally moving over to the Discord because Andy still had control of the Telegram and like kicked all the rest of the founders out. Like they had no control. And I'm like, I still want to know what's up with my investment. So
Yeah.
I hopped in there, I was sketched out. It's the first time I've ever used Discord, and I'm blanking on the name. It's some like I don't know. It's basically it's an NFT verifier. I had to connect my crypto wallet to it. I'm like,
Yeah.
I've never seen this shit before. I'm sketched out. I even reached out to Andy. I'm like, hey man, I know you're pretty sour with him right now, but is this thing legit? This buys? Oh yeah, no, that's good. Cool. So there are all these disgruntled people. They're all bitching and moaning, and I'm just like, hey, if anyone's looking to sell those meta NFTs, hit me up. And I have people reaching out like, how much you trying to get me? I'm like, I'll give you $5. And they're like, go fuck yourself. It's bullshit. I'm like, hey, it's worthless to you, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're bitching and moaning. You're saying it's worth that. So I'll take it off your hand. It's better than getting nothing, right?
Yeah.
Well, I paid $500 for this technically. So I'm asking for that. I'm like, you're never going to get it.
Then hold on.
And they're like, well, and then they're like, oh, it's selling for that on OpenSea. I'm like, I pulled it up to my screenshot. Like, it's going for $90. I'm not paying you $90 for it. You're not going to find somebody to pay $90 for it.
No.
So, hey, work with me. Let's talk.
Yep.
And he told me to go fuck myself. But still, it was just like...
That's the chance you take, right?
Yeah. But I reached out to Hushnu, because I do know Hushnu. We're not as on good terms as Andy and I were. But still, I'm like, hey, what's going on with you guys? And he had said, no, everything is still good. He wouldn't go into what's going on between him and Andy because potential legal things are going on and he can't talk about it.
Yeah, right.
I can respect that.
Yep.
But the big thing that I was always super gung ho on when it came to Poseidon was the fact that Hushnu owns a company called Orbital Analytics. It's a satellite imaging company. And they never talked about it. But I'm like, okay, you could be taking this data and turning these into live NFTs. I remember when they were meeting with the Canadian government. I'm like, this is big shit. Why are you not talking about this? And it's like, well, we're not going to talk about it until it's a thing. So I made sure to hit up Hushno, and I was like, hey man, that's still a thing, right? He's like, that and more. I was like, great, that's all I needed to hear.
That's
Let me know.
I love to hear when companies will sit back and not try to use every little thing to raise investor capital. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's really
Well,
smart.
we both have seen when a company puts out hard deadlines and dates that they can't meet and what it does to investor morale.
Yep.
I would say that I like that we have to dance around this too. I would say that it's a very smart move to reveal no updates unless you have something and the ink has dried on a deal or whatever you're about to do.
Just like I was saying to Co, you know, I mean, there's very few experts in this industry these days. And
Mm-hmm.
so to start, you know, setting your deadlines for yourself that you full well do not know with a reasonable belief that you can keep is a little bit, I don't want to say foolish, but
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
it shows I think a little bit more about what you're actually about as a company,
Mhm.
or at least as you know as a developer and you know as an owner, you know, because I mean there's lots of people that are working really hard in all these companies, and you can't fault you know a single developer for you know the problems and the deadlines that get set behind their backs, but it's caused nothing but problems in my experience.
Well,
Mhm.
yeah, you have executives who don't have a true understanding
Correct.
of how coding works. Like I'm very
Correct.
upfront. I know jack shit about coding. I'll never
Right.
claim to know anything about coding. Am I now finally getting to the point where I'm interested in learning? Yeah, I am. I would love to be able to read blockchain technology that much better, um, especially with things that are going on with Blockstar. But talking about developers, talking about progression, let's get into your area of specialties.
Mhm.
Polygon gaming is big. I know that you are very much into gaming and NFTs. Take it away, sir.
Beautiful.
Oh yeah, Polygon. I've always been a huge person on Polygon and its potential. One big reason is its gas fees and its integration with like Ethereum and basically being able to secure applications with Instagram and social media.
Yeah.
So I definitely think there's a lot more use case for it. I'm still waiting for a little bit more, I'd say, meat on the bones, but I guess that's just me because I don't want to say I'm a little cautious, but I don't want to always put my toes and feet all the way in, and I would like to dabble around a little bit. So I'm just seeing within the Polygon space what they can come up with gaming. I know there's other projects out there. I've heard of Alien Worlds, but for gaming, I'm still a little iffy. But Polygon in general, I've just been investing and staking with them, so
Hmm.
been getting some kind of return on Binance. I think it's about it's like 3 or 4%, something like that.
That's
But
good.
That's not
it's
bad.
been yeah, it's been decent. I've been a big Polygon fan. I would like to yeah, see what they have more. So
One of my
yeah,
biggest
definitely.
regrets was actually having to sell my Polygon back at the end of 21.
Yeah,
Yeah, when it was really down too.
yeah.
But no, I've always loved Polygon. I think it's a fantastic layer two. It is exactly what I was talking about why we don't need NFTs on layer one,
Hmm.
because we have
Oh,
these excellent layer two solutions. Polygon has always kind of been at the top of that, in my opinion. And yeah, I think it's I mean, if you're going to dabble in anything, that's a good one to dabble on, just like you say, just due to the low fees and things like that. So,
Yeah, I agree.
Well, have you seen how Unstoppable Domains came out with the .polygon domain? Every single one of them is going for like $1,000, if not more,
yeah,
Yeah.
starting. I'm like, I'm not going to pay
No.
$1,000 for Trevor
Yeah.
Polygon. Go fuck yourself. Binance.us just dropped theirs the other day, and I'm like,
yeah,
fuck you, Binance. You won't catch me anywhere near you.
yeah.
And to tie it back to Blockstar once again, I know they're coming out with their domain service as well. So .bst, I'm like, yeah, I'll pay for that. I'll pay for every single one I can think of. Let me snatch them all up just to be that troll and find some people who want to buy them after the fact. Um, yeah. So okay, let's see. We've got Polygon Gaming. Let's talk about the banking crisis because it's continuing. It has not stopped.
Yep.
What was it? First
Yep.
Republic Bank
So,
was the most recent one to like kind of start biting it.
I've lost track.
yeah, I think it was First Republic, and before that, it was SVB, Silicon Valley Bank.
Yep, Signature Bank. So I think First Republic is the third one to bite the dust.
There's been
Yeah,
a
I think
lot of
it-
regional bank issues as well, which is kind of sad to see.
Mm-hmm.
That it's starting to reach all the way down to these lower levels, you know.
Yeah, it's definitely cracking through the cracks. Yeah.
But I think what's interesting, I saw like a Venn diagram type map of the 2008 crisis, which was basically just the whole volume was taken up. There were definitely some bigger banks, but most of the volume was taken up by smaller regional type banks. And the map that I saw for the current crisis is it's like SVB and all these top three big issues banks. You know, Signature. I think Signature was actually the smallest one. But it's kind of sad to see that we are starting to bleed down into the regional banks. But I mean, this is what happens, right? When you have a government that continues to print fiat with no abandon, you know.
There was a hearing recently, and I can't remember which member of government was speaking, but they were bashing cryptocurrency, and they're like, yeah, these random people can just mint it. They can mint as much as they want. They can set the supply. I mean, why would you ever do that? I mean, we can mint as much as we want too, but we're the U.S. government. I'm like,
Yeah.
no
yeah.
fucking way.
Yeah.
You just actually said that. I saw your lips move. I heard it come out and get into my ear. You acknowledge the fact that you can just continue to print as much as you want. You're running on the good faith of, oh, we're the U.S. government. We're not backed by gold. We're backed by our sovereignty. That is it. And now we're dealing with the rise of the BRICS nations. We're about to become BRICS plus.
Yeah.
Because, hey, all of these other nations, 30 in total, were like, I want to get in on that. Fuck the dollar. I'm out. Let's get a new world reserve currency going.
Nothing about
The only concern is it going to be a CBDC?
There's nothing like saying the quiet part out loud, right? Like, basically, no word about ever being backed by anything but like gold or any kind of physical thing, except basically it's the U.S. military. That's what backs the dollar right now, and it can't hold up. It just can't hold up. So, in my lifetime, I mean, I used to hear like my mom and dad talk about how they could go down to the corner store and get, you know, a pack of gum for 5 cents or something like that. You know what I mean? And the inflation that we've seen in our lifetime just dwarfs that. You know what I mean?
I mean, it's been ridiculous. So, Cove, I don't think I've told you. So, when I was working with Travis, I had gone through a breakup, and Travis, with open arms, like, bro, come stay with me. So, I lived with him for 3 months. And in that time period,
My man.
I actively no, he's a real motherfucker right there. Travis is one of the best people in my world. He's going to be in my wedding party. He's a real dude.
Thanks, brother.
Anyways, we're talking about him. Of course,
I love you too.
You're the
man.
one who. But watching inflation happen in real time was a bizarre thing. Gas prices going up.
Oh, yeah.
And I love how they were touting like, oh, uh, what was it? Interest rates have gone up, or inflation rates. They're only sitting at like 7 something%. We saw them climb all the way to 10, and that's the publicly stated number. But when it came down to common consumables, food and gasoline, they were up over 45%. You know how I judged that? The price of a pack of chimichangas at Walmart. That's
Yeah.
exactly
Yeah.
how I did it. Used to be under
Yeah.
$2, jumped close to $5. I'm like, what the fuck is happening here?
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
isn't right.
Yeah, well,
This is not right.
they tell you, oh, inflation, it's under control.
Gotta
It's
keep
only at
up.
5%. It's only at 6%. And then they tell you, oh, but we don't count food and gasoline. Well,
Yeah.
what's your major expenses? I mean, come on, people.
Yeah.
And
Well,
beyond that, it's the amount of money that you bring home from work. When I was just graduating high school, $50,000 a year to me, that was doctor money. And I lived in a university town, so I knew doctor money, right?
mhm.
And now 50 grand, I'm turning down jobs for that now. You know what I mean? And I'm not
It's
all
not
that,
enough.
so I'm pretty cheap, really. But you can't really make a living, and you certainly can't raise a family, in a single income household anymore. Period.
Both parents have to work.
You know? No, it's ridiculous the way that the dollar has been hoard out, for lack of a better phrase, is kind of sad. But I mean, the average individual has no recourse at this point other than to look for other stores of wealth,
Right.
and that's,
Well,
I think, what they don't understand.
I think that the suppression of cryptocurrency we're seeing around the world tied it back to the banking crisis. One of the big things when the FDIC comes in and bails these banks out is, hey, you're no longer going to work with crypto industries at all. You're not going to be an on ramp,
Yeah.
off ramp, hard no.
Yeah.
So when you hear that, for example, Binance is pulling out of China, or not China, other sea country, Canada, they're pulling out of Canada.
Right.
The Canadians just lost another on ramp, off ramp right there.
Yeah. Yep.
That is pretty
Another.
wild. I mean, as we saw back, what was it, 2021, 2022, Travis, when there were the truckers protesting in Canada.
Right.
MetaMask froze everybody's shit
Yep.
for like 2 days, and we're like, what the fuck? Everyone's running around the office freaking the hell out. Investors are reaching out. This is your like, no. So often MetaMask or Binance was behind. More often than others, Binance was behind updating their chain, and numbers would just get super fucked off. And it's like, we went over this like 5 weeks ago, man. It's gonna happen repeatedly.
Yep.
It's what happens when you do with anything centralized or too centralized. But
Any part of the
anything
chain,
too centralized.
any part of the network that gets centralized, that's your weakest point.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, we've got a long ways to go until we can really start talking about true DeFi.
Yeah.
And for real, that's why I own very, very minor amounts of Ethereum, maybe a little bit of BNB from from the days when I was tossing that around. But really, I have nothing else. All my dry powder goes towards Bitcoin. And that's why I feel so strongly about Bitcoin remaining that immutable layer one store of wealth. Is because I think that's what it does well. That's the purpose it serves. I mean, we have the Lightning Network. We have different ways of easing the fees, but I mean, you're not talking about the days of going to a bank and easily doing the kind of banking that we're used to with quote unquote minimal fees, even though those banks get theirs, they get theirs out of us. But I think those days are kind of coming to an end here. And if I have to spend a little bit of gas money to get a certain amount of Bitcoin out of a wallet so that I can cash it out into a different layer two or something like that, so be it. I think
Yeah.
one of the issues that we've been having with this new Bitcoin NFT BRC20 issue is that they've seen gas fees go up, much like Ethereum.
Oh
You
yeah,
know,
it was over
Yep.
125 GUI the other day for a transaction
yeah.
based off just the traffic on the network. I'm like,
So what maybe used to cost you
man.
$10 is now costing you 20,
Yeah,
and
Right.
yeah.
it's just let it do what it does well, and leave it alone.
Mm.
Let it do its thing. But I mean, some people just need to have their fingers into everything,
Hmm.
and what really the question that I'm asking myself is how this got approved,
Yeah.
because I've heard so many people that I really trust and respect in the industry talk the same kind of thing that I'm talking here, which is this seems like a bad move, you know. And so I don't know if the issue is that we're still, even with the biggest cryptocurrency on the planet, we still don't know enough about how it works in order to like make educated decisions. Maybe there's just not enough people that are involved in it still. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, I think get more people involved and get more people educated um, could only help things in this situation.
Hmm.
And I think we need to really. I would even consider trying to roll back this Bitcoin NFT thing. It seems insidious to me, you know.
Mhm.
But yeah, your point's well taken, and look at how fiat around the world has been going. It's not doing good really anywhere. I mean, you have
No.
one of the strongest fiat currencies these days is the Russian ruble, and they're mired down in a civil war, a
Hmm.
hot bullets in the air civil war. Um, so that has a whole other connotation about the industrial warfare complex, uh, but
Right.
but yeah, I mean,
And
fiat's not good, and the U.S. dollar, the days of U.S. dollar hegemony are gone. And
well, talking about the US dollar, I want to tie it into the upcoming Fed now. I think that drops next month on like the 30th.
you know,
Is that right?
I'm not sure when it drops. All I know is that they told us that it wasn't. They weren't even calling it a network at first. They were just
Nope.
saying that it's a way for banks to send money to each other. Um, yeah.
It's instantaneous. It's a centralized network. That's all it is.
Well, and since then
It's there's
they've come out with that Avalanche fork. What is it? The metal stuff.
oh
Um,
the metal protocol.
I think
No,
it's metal
I
or
sent you a
metallic or
link.
something. Yeah, no,
It's metal.
yeah, uh, and that's
Metal finance.
this is exactly what we're talking about. Well, in that article, I don't have it pulled up right now, but I'll tell you the part that really killed me is the response from the founder, the metal founder, um, dismissing the concerns over possible misuse of CBDCs and things like that. And that's a red flag right there. To
Hmm.
dismiss concerns like that shows that you're not acting in good faith. And
Yep.
we should all be concerned about people who say things like that, and say that try to imply that people won't misuse this.
Yeah.
People are
Yeah.
awful by nature.
Happened too many times.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's happened.
yep. And power corrupts even the best
Yeah.
intentions. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I think the biggest thing that we're going to see with the rise of CBDCs around the world, I mean, first off, regulation has to come down the line. France and the EU were very quick to come out with the micro resolution that gave them a clear outline. That's why you have companies suddenly like, all right, well, I know I've heard that the EU is going to be good. I heard the UK is going to be better. So you know what, America, we're gonna make our way over there. Uh, as COVID brought up. Topic wise, Coinbase and the new Global Advisory Council.
Mhm.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, they are dipping out. They've established a presence. I know in was it Jamaica. Is that accurate? Where they are offering investing, but to institutions only,
Mm-hmm.
not retail investors. And it's like,
Mhm.
oh, and once again, if you're an institutional investor, you have billions of dollars, and only you guys are going to continue to get richer. The retail investor, the average Joe,
Sounds
is
like the
not going to
stock
see a
market to
single
me.
thing. It's a repeat of the stock market. That's
Yeah.
exactly what it is.
Yeah.
And I think in some ways you can argue if, because I mean, have I looked deeply into it? No, I don't think they're actually even investing directly into crypto. It'd be some sort of hedge,
Yeah.
but
Oh yeah.
still,
Yeah.
it's fascinating to see what's going on there. But Co, what do you know more about the advisory council?
Um, I know I had some information on it. Um, I just remember reading briefly about it. It had to do with Coinbase creating a council, and the council was made up of previous, I think it was a banking advisors or something like that. So that's what initially caught my eye. Oftentimes you have decentralized projects and platforms, but you see this like pattern of centralization within the crypto space and different projects and whatnot. So it is a tying back to Travis. It's a very like noticeable pattern that I've noticed. But let me find this
Well,
Oh yeah,
Coinbase.
take your time.
in the meantime, Trevor and I, we were just talking about Coinbase, and the fact that their biggest banking partners are J.P. Morgan Chase,
Hmm.
and was it Wells Fargo? Maybe, I'm not sure, but definitely Chase Bank is one of their biggest. That's essentially when you have funds being custodian on Coinbase, it's essentially in somewhere in a J.P. Morgan Chase account or vault, whatever you want, however you want to, construe it. But it's there. It's part of it. And yeah,
Mhm.
just like you're saying, man. I mean, how does that necessarily make this decentralized or anything like that? Even not even asking how much stock in the company they have,
Right.
but they're controlling customer assets in essentially. Um, so yeah,
And they're collecting fees on that too.
Yeah.
it doesn't surprise me to hear that the people that want to be creating the new rules are the same. Look, the new boss, same as the old boss,
Hmm.
and in this case, it's the same guy. So
Yeah,
um,
still Jamie Dimon.
yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Jamie Dimon, but that's really off topic. I mean, just
Right.
any kind of big controlling interest, I think, is it makes everything weaker, just due to
Mhm.
the unilateral type of centralization that we're talking about here, the
Mhm.
massive control that the people who have the money actually exert over the rest of the people who are desperately trying to build up any kind of form of wealth whatsoever.
Oh
For
yeah, yeah.
I'm sorry, go
It
ahead.
definitely puts a bad taste in other people's mouths
Mm-hmm.
that are definitely more honest towards the space. I definitely hear it from other people. They're like, "Oh, crypto's just a scam. Bitcoin's a scam. Like,
Yep.
there's nothing to it," which I definitely don't believe so. But I don't know if there's definitely like a relationship and an influence between, I guess, people that aren't really well invested into it and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. So I definitely, it's still in the early stages. It's still fluctuating a lot. There's a lot more stuff to be made in there, but there is an overall pattern that I do notice. And
Absolutely. One of the things that I talk about when I hear people talk specifically about Bitcoin, because I really don't spend a lot of time trying to, even with Ethereum, I don't try to defend altcoins at all. But Bitcoin is different. And to my knowledge, Bitcoin is the most secure network that we have on the planet at this point in time. And it's a proof of work network. You know what I mean? Meaning that is anything behind it? Well, not in the sense that you say I have this much Bitcoin and that's worth this much gold. However, there's a lot of energy which the ESG people that are trying to shut down Bitcoin mining will always
Yeah.
remind you of. There's a lot of energy that goes into these hashing computations, and I guess uh, I see value in that. Because the people that are mining are spending money on electricity, even if they're totally on renewable energies. I'm not sure of any kind of new renewable type of energy where you can, for no money, just suddenly gather energy and transform it into electricity. Even if
Hmm.
you're buying solar panels, somebody had to build those solar panels, somebody had to
Yep.
transport those solar panels, somebody had to
The raw
install.
materials.
And
Some kind of
10
cost.
years from now, when the solar panels efficiency is going down, somebody's going to have to replace those solar panels. And it's the
Hmm.
same thing with wind. I'm from the Midwest where they went really hard on wind energy. Um, and we're starting to see like a lot of like defunct, rusting giant wind farms now.
Hmm.
So there's cost to almost everything. And like getting back to my point is that's kind of what I tell people like my dad, who will say, yeah, there's nothing, I don't understand crypto. There's nothing behind it. Well, first of all, there's nothing behind the dollar except the U.S. Army, you know,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
yes, actually, I think there is something behind Bitcoin. It's energy,
Hmm.
energy that unfortunately, we don't get back, you know. So
Hmm.
that goes into the monetary system, and that's kind of the genius of Bitcoin.
Hmm.
But I mean, think the other point is this is why Bitcoin was created in the first place, is because of the 2008 financial crisis and what the banks and these large centralized industries did to the housing market especially. But you know we've been feeling the repercussions ever since.
Oh
I
yeah.
don't think
Yeah.
we've ever really gotten over the 2008 issue. So yeah, I think there is something behind Bitcoin, and that's one of the reasons why I really hesitate to do something next. Which is this is my next fear, is that they're going to try to switch Bitcoin off of proof of work. I think
Hmm.
that's a mistake.
Yeah. Hmm.
Well, moving to our next talking point, the exact opposite of decentralized, oh, centralized. No, let me rephrase that. The exact opposite of what Travis cares about. We're going to talk DeFi to the level of, hey, Pepe. Let's talk Pepe.
Pepe, it had to happen eventually,
It
right?
had to happen they've reached $1 billion market cap, and I know they've been dropping ever since.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
fucking Pepe, I was aware of Pepe when they launched in 2021.
Yeah.
It was something I'm like, yeah, that'll never become anything. Obviously, hey, you know what? Can't
Ne-
go back in time.
Never
But
underestimate. Excuse me. Never underestimate a meme coin, right?
fucking meme coins.
Yeah.
I'm blown the hell away. And do they have the potential down the line for someone to build an ecosystem around them?
Mhm.
Anyone could do that with any
Sure.
project. That's undeniable. Take a look what happened with Shiba. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
is it it's possible.
Yeah.
But
That.
the rise of all of these derivatives of Pepe are wild, and they're doing good. Again, no utility.
Yeah.
It's just a giant game of chicken as who's going to sell off first.
It
And
Exactly. Yeah.
that is the big what people get. Well, it's why people view crypto negatively, in the sense that people lose their money. It's cultish. It's cultish as fuck, because not only do it's just like the South Park episode about NFTs. I believe it has value. If I convince you it has value, then it's like, okay, it's a thing, but you have to continue to grab more people. Oh,
Yeah.
check this out. Crypto people are always into something you've never fucking heard of, and they want you to get into it. It is a cult, 100%. But if you get enough cult members in, it's no longer a cult, it's a religion. So it's like,
Pepe
hey,
coin could have been Vic Chaos coin. You know what I mean?
fucking bit chaos
I
going.
made a token on Solana called Vic Chaos Coin, based on that South Park episode. Never
That's a
intending to
great special.
monetize it at all, but I mean, it could be that. I mean, it is what it is, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, no, I think it's great, and I think that at some point, I almost feel like meme coins need a period of just being roasted and made fun of before they launch off. You know what I mean? Same thing happened to Dogecoin. Same thing happened to Shiba. And now we're seeing it with Pepe, you know? So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, look, I don't, like I said before, I don't mess around with altcoins, not because I'm not interested in them, but because mainly right now I just don't have the dry powder to waste.
Mhm.
And that maybe that's the wrong word to use because, you know, a lot of people are going to make money on this, you know, and it's not going to be a waste to them. So,
True.
but yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I've definitely dabbled around with some meme coins
yeah,
and whatnot.
no,
Bought some Shiba.
yeah, that's where
And-
that's where it was when Trevor and I first met each other.
yeah.
That was a lot of what our conversations were. What do you
Yeah.
think's the next thing that I should throw $100 into and try to become a
100.
billionaire off of?
Yeah.
You know?
Like my perspective from it is, yeah, there's, that element of like, it's waiting for when are we going to sell, and
Hmm.
it's kind of like that gamble aspect. But
Yep.
I do like the aspect of like people getting behind a project, and it's
Yeah.
like power to the people.
Yep.
Even though this thing has literally no use case for it, there's
Yep.
still people buying and selling it. So
Mhm.
in that sense, altcoins have been, there's been a little spot for my heart for them, but
Sure.
yeah,
Well,
definitely I think security is better
yep.
for
And
the overall.
not that I like to quote Musk. I mean, I'm not a giant fan of his,
Yeah.
but I mean, he's made some very interesting calls in the past, most especially with Dogecoin, which I mean, we all remember that whole fiasco. Um, but he
I made
had,
money on that,
yeah,
but still.
you and a lot of people.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think the most impressive part of it was that he did at one point have plans for Dogecoin to really turn it into actually a payment system. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And there's lots of actual alts that I've been like. I was a big Digibyte guy when I first got into crypto. I ended up having to sell my Digibyte along with my Polygon, but that's just because I'm bad at managing money in my real life too. So, but no, I think there's a lot of these different coins that have so much potential, and a lot of them are very simple, blockchains. You know.
Yeah.
Well, I think the last thing we need to cover, another talking point from Co, is the LG patent. Talk about that for NFTs.
Yeah, so that's another interesting article that I recently came across. LG basically filed a patent for a consumer refrigerator, basically, that you can trade NFTs and basically trade crypto. So
Awesome.
it's just interesting that a company would go through the consumer electronics realm to, I guess, connect to average people, but.
So if I
Just
run
something
out of
interesting.
Pepe, I can't get my sandwich meat out of my refrigerator.
See, that's See, that could be the use case right there. Could be
World
like
Does
a
it
little
play
global
Doom?
diet
Does it run
sensation.
Doom? That's the question. Does it run Doom?
bit- yeah,
right.
might have to look that one up, but
Like just
Well,
being in IT, I naturally just trust anything that's Internet of Things like refrigerators and stuff like that. But it's still pretty awesome.
it is.
definitely. Also going back to our Coinbase topic about their
Oh yeah.
council. So I found it, and basically, so following up with their leadership team, they went to the United Arab Emirates, and they basically announced the foundation of their advisory council, and it's staffed with many former United States lawmakers and industry leaders. So I don't know, from their move, I don't know how you guys feel about them taking that step in their space in the crypto market, but I don't know. For me personally, I feel like that's just like another sticking your hand into the honey pot things that people don't really like look up towards in crypto. It's like, hey, you kind of have access to all this information, and um, now you're creating a group of a board of people that can influence the policies and change the rules of said exchange. So I don't know. I feel like it might have a very like sour taste towards certain people. What do you guys think?
I'm in full agreement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've said many times I'm on Skynet's side. I'm for the machines. You know, I think my faith in humanity being in the crypto industry has been completely destroyed.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
think that the robots are the only thing that are going to save us. Whether or not that's
Well,
plugging us in like batteries or not, it remains to be seen. But yeah,
well, speaking of the machine, something I just saw the article maybe 6 hours ago, and it's something I was aware of that they were going to do, but they finally are saying when they're going to do it. So, end of the week, this week, ChatGPT is giving uh, their system, or I guess OpenAI is giving ChatGPT access to the internet again.
Oh my.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Nothing can go wrong
So,
with that.
I mean, a lot has happened since 2021. It
Oh
needs to
yeah.
know.
Oh yeah.
It needs to know. So, as to what's going to happen with that, I mean, who knows? And I think it's fascinating. There was this big, and ChatGPT was groundbreaking. I remember in 2021 all the fun stories about it while we were sitting there in the office. Just, all right, what? It's doing. It learned about Hitler. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Um, and the market has become oversaturated with various AI chatbot projects.
Oh yeah.
It's integrated it into everything. Either you have a company like Microsoft or Snap who are just like, hey, you know what? We're not going to bother building it ourselves. Partnership money, here you go. You have Google competing with Bard. They're always going to have inaccuracies, and Google obviously fucked up enough where they lost what $500 million in value in a single day.
Sure.
What was the number?
I'm not
It
sure.
was a ridiculous amount, um, because they had wrong information show up in their public demo they did.
Right. Right.
But having things connected to the internet is absolutely fascinating.
Yeah.
Because I know tying it to Blockstar, their Daisy AI system is connected to the internet. It's never not been connected, so
Right.
it can reference current information, which I always thought was cool.
Yeah.
One of the biggest things that I would say in recent weeks, there's been a question of, well, why should I pay for ChatGPT's premium service, ChatGPT Plus?
Mhm.
At first, it was like, oh, okay, well, it gets you access to GPT Plus, not just the legacy. It was like, okay, it's slightly faster, not as accurate. It's like, okay, that's fun. Then it's like, hey, GPT-4. It's like, oh, shit, GPT-4.
Yeah.
Still amazing.
Yeah.
But even then, I was on a big kick, as you're aware of. I got so many articles written. I got content for videos created. I got an entire comic series written out, and I just have to illustrate it. Thanks,
Yeah.
ChatGPT.
Yeah.
But I couldn't justify paying for it. I'm like, $19 a month, I'm okay. Now, just last week, I want to say, Microsoft came out and said, hey, we're giving all users access to GPT-4 for free. And I'm like, why would you pay for it then? Why would you pay for ChatGPT Plus?
Yeah.
And then they announced in it to the internet thing, that's a plugin. In addition to 69 other plugins, that's what you get when you pay $19 a month. And I'm like, okay, you know what? Where's my wallet at? I want to know what all the plugins are going to be for. How much
Right.
is it going to simplify my life? Who can I find and try and take their job? Um, I'm not going to mention his name, Travis, but you and I are both aware of a graphic designer who I know for a fact has been mixing or using a mixture of ChatGPT and Stable Diffusion,
Mhm.
DALI 2 to come up with designs for companies. That's
Sure.
how he spends his time. He's like, if anyone ever knew I was doing this, like I'd be out of a job. I'm like, do it better than anyone else, bud. You better write
Yep.
prompt engineer on your next resume. Like,
Yep.
you're gonna need it. I love how all crypto bros are now prompt engineers as
That's very
well.
interesting that you say prompt engineer, because that is essentially. I mean, that's always really been, uh, you know, you say it like it's not a soft skill anymore, I guess, because that's always been kind of a very the most important soft skill. Like in my industry, I don't know everything. I could never know everything, even about one subject. But what I do know is how to prompt Google search. You know what I mean? I know how to get the information and digest it, and that's essentially becoming what the prompt engineer is. And I've heard this is not the first time, even this week, I've heard somebody say, "Are we going to be? Is a prompt engineer going to be the new job instead of cloud engineer, network engineer, security engineer, whatever?" It's a very interesting idea, and I don't think we're there yet. But it is still one of the priority soft skills that you can have in almost any industry, is being able to look up the information, and get what you need to know when you need to know it, in an efficient manner, and accurate. I would also add is important. Which,
That is important.
I mean, when you have different AI chatbots and things like that, are being trained on different data sets. That's one of the benefits of letting your AI onto the internet, because I think it's going to give it a better base of, just a better, it's like how social media kind of focused us all into our separate little comfort zones, and
Right.
all of a sudden you don't hear anything outside of that. I think that's what
It's your bubble.
that's a lot of what these AI chatbots are dealing with as well. That's one of the reasons why I know a lot of people don't want to pay for them, is because they end up with information. I mean, you have a chatbot that's basically insulting your politics or your ideologies or anything, any number of things, and that's based on the people that fed them what data, right? And so letting these things out on the internet is not necessarily a bad thing. And I don't think it's going to ultimately end in our destruction in and of itself, any more than it was in the first place, right? Maybe just accelerate it, right? But yeah, it's prompt engineer. I didn't mean to interrupt, but I think it's kind of an important thing to pause on,
I agree.
That, and then that's in a joking manner, me talking about Skynet and like how I'm just there to work on the machines, right? That's how I'm gonna ensure my success in the future. That's essentially what we're talking about,
I mean, it truly is Roko's basilisk at this point. It's that thought experiment. And I hate exposing people to Roko's basilisk, because once you know about Roko's basilisk, you're fucked.
Right.
Are you familiar with it or no?
No, not at all.
Not?
No.
You want to be
Drop,
damned?
Drop some knowledge, man.
What's
Yes
up?
or no?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Well, what's up?
So the best equivalent I can find of this, because it'll give you the gist of it. I don't want to fuck you over, so I'll give you a very close story. So when this is very loose, but again, it's to give you a basic concept.
Mm-hmm.
So when the various conquistadors and missionaries were moving across the Americas, they were converting people to Christianity.
Mm-hmm.
And in this supposed interaction, you have a missionary talking to a Native American and was telling them about the God.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, oh, our God's merciful, he's loving, blah, 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 blah. And if you don't follow our God, then you're going to hell. You're going to be damned once you've heard the word of God. And the guy's like, okay, what if you hadn't told me about him? What would have happened? Oh, you still would have gone to heaven. Then why did you tell me?
Mm-hmm.
So imagine that And take that concept, transfer it to a digital AI god, essentially. Right. I'm not going to tell you the specific thing. You can look it up yourself. I think about it at least once a day. It's something that once I found out about what Roko's Basilisk was, I'm like, fuck. And that's why I don't like exposing people directly to it. I'm like, that's your own decision if you want to be damned. Well, it's the same concept. I'll let you function in your mind. But the moment you actually hear what Roko's Basilisk is, I can't go any further than that, other than it knows if you've heard what it actually is. So we'll leave it at that. But gents, thank you so much.
Thank you, and
go ahead.
Fuck you, dude.
Yeah, no, I didn't give you the exact thing of it. You're fine. You're fine. You don't know enough. You're okay.
No, I appreciate it.
You've heard about the word of God now, so
you know.
But guys, again, thank you so much, Co. It's been fantastic having you on.
Yeah, let's
look forward to having you on going forward.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
But everyone watching, thank you so much for tuning in. This is episode 5 of the Blockheads. Still trying to figure out the title. You'll see it when it comes out.
Yep.
But thank you for tuning in. We'll see you.
Later,
have a great week.
Have a good one.
Peace.
Yep.